Hello all, and welcome to what is likely going to be the last beer review for a, well, hopefully not too long a while, but a few months anyways. And, well, we're going to try to make the best of it. So there's this review and then one more sort of, I guess, sort of beer retrospective that I'm going to be doing. Beer and whiskey retrospective, in which I polish out the last of my beer and whiskey that I am not aging or keeping for, sort of long-term purpose. And, well, what are we reviewing tonight, folks? And I'm feeling kind of like verklempt right now. Well, we are reviewing North Coast Brewing Company's Berliner Weisse Tart Cherry Beer. So this is not the color of the bottle. The red's not the color of the bottle. It's the color of the actual beer in the bottle here. Now, Berliner Weisses, as they are traditionally enjoyed in Berlin, obviously, are usually mixed. They put a bit of, fruit-flavored syrup on the bottom of the glass and pour the beer in to sort of mitigate the tartness of the sour ale. Now, this one does not have, cherry syrup added, but it was brewed with cherries as part of the mash. Now, I don't know why North Coast does this, but they don't put the ABV or, brew on date on any of this. So I looked it up, and ABV is about 4.1, 4.2. And, well, let's get to it, shall we? Okay, smells like sour and cherries, unsurprisingly. And pours a beautiful bubbly rose color. Almost looks like a rosé champagne. With a fizzy, somewhat thick, bubbly, slightly off-pink head. Off-pink, as it were. Very carbonated, as most sours usually are. You got the wheat, you got the lactobacillic funk, and you got like a hint of what smells almost like cherry pie. A little bit of a mineral edge, not as much as a goza because there's no salt added. Definitely funk, and what's interesting is that cherry really goes and kind of meshes with the malt and kind of gives off a very much like a baking cherry pie kind of smell to it. Well, I see why adding fruit syrups are popular in Germany. The addition of fruit flavors really, really makes these sours interesting. And it's not as intensely sour as some Weisses or, Gozas I've had. Definitely got a nice little tart kick to it. Especially in the front. Kind of, the cherries are a little bit tart too, but then sort of gradates into sweetness from, into the mids and especially onto the finish, where you're kind of left with this nice interplay of cherry sweetness and, citric and cherry tartness on the palate. Along with a lot of lactobacillic funk. It's almost like a champagne kind of note in the effervescence there. Very slight, but noticeable. Also has a little bit more of a sense of the malting than I've had with any other sour before. I'm wondering if that's because the added cherries, you know, kind of brings up the residual amount of sugar inside beer, you know, allowing a little bit more of that malt to show through. And it's giving off this really nice interplay of a cherry tart, a tart cherry tart, as it were. You know, you can get hints of that sort of malt in the front and in the finish too. And by no means is it strong. You know, it's not like chewy or bready. It's not like an Oktoberfest, but it's there and it's kind of playing along very nicely with the sour and cherry flavors. You know, I'm actually really surprised. Usually reviews, they kind of like, you know, I usually end up agreeing with the bulk of reviews, but this is one where people were kind of meh about it. It's like, well, this is either it's too sour or too sweet for them. But all of them sort of agreed that there wasn't much dimensionality to this, and I'm finding quite a bit of dimensionality to this particular beer. Again, especially as it warms up now, I'm starting to feel that it's a little bit thicker than other sours I've had before. Again, probably due to the amount of residual sugars and the addition of cherries. But, you know, it's kept in balance by that sourness. And, you know, it's just a really darn good beer. Though probably not one for someone who's expecting a lot of traditional beer flavors, obviously. Well, I'm very glad that this beer that I've chosen to sort of end off a very long series of reviews, and believe me, I haven't uploaded in a couple months, and I already got like 30 or so to kind of upload. And well, what can I say about this particular beer? Well, it's like drinking a nice little tart cherry tart. And it's pretty refreshing too on a hot day after doing yard work, which I kind of did this afternoon. Nice sort of Art Deco style label art there. Very, very traditional Art Deco. And I guess I'm just kind of holding on here because I'm almost sad to be ending this particular review, because really, doing beer reviews have, and I'm going to get a little bit more into this in my, you know, overview, is that beer reviews have become pretty much my primary form of creative and personal expression over the past 3 or 4 years. Mainly because I expected so little of it. I didn't expect myself to really... I kind of went into it as just a lark, and it just kind of took a life of its own, and it never really improved much over the years, but it's something I've really kind of been doing and enjoying doing. And, you know, even if it takes me forever to share it with you few people who watch it. So, North Coast Brewing Company, Berliner Weisse, a great cherry beer, if a little out there for most people. Well, that's your beer review for tonight, folks. Cheers, and I will see you again sometime, somewhere, after my goals are achieved. That's your beer review for tonight, folks. Cheers.